Good morning, friends, and a hearty welcome to all of you to the one-day national level webinar on research methodology in social sciences, organized jointly by the Departments of Economics and Education, P.N. Das College, in collaboration with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of the institution. I take this opportunity also to thank all of you for being part of this program, which was envisaged actually to explore the means, the modes, and the areas of research in a pandemic situation as the one we are all pitted into right at this moment. And we are proud that we are joined by three renowned resource persons: Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya, Associate Professor in the Postgraduate Department of Education, Fakir Mohan University, Balasore, Odisha; Dr. Bijan Sarkar, Professor in the Department of Education, University of Kalyani, West Bengal; and Dr. Arup Chattopadhyay, Professor in the Department of Economics, the University of Burdwan, West Bengal. Friends, it's also a great honor for all of us here at P.N. Das College that we have been joined also by over 300 participants from all over the country, giving the webinar a wonderful, diverse representation. I would now request Dr. Shormila Dey, Honorable Principal, P.N. Das College, to start off this webinar with a welcome address. Madam.
A very good morning, respected resource persons of today's webinar, participants.
Completion of presentation of all the students, question hour session.
Madhuchanda, somebody is speaking. Would you please ask everybody? I would request everybody to keep yourself on mute mode, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Madam, would you please start?
On behalf of P.N. Das College, I welcome all of you to today's webinar on research methodology in social sciences. The Internal Quality Assurance Cell of P.N. Das College has been organizing seminars and workshops, and recently online seminars and workshops on various relevant topics. And today's topic is another addition to the list. So, though I am not a person of social sciences background, so I believe that basic structure, the basic skeleton of research methodology is the same. So, in the welcome note, I would like to share a few words about my experience as a research scholar. I basically am a student and teacher of physics, and back in 1993, when I joined as a junior research fellow at Jadavpur University, on the first day, my research supervisor, PhD supervisor, along with senior research fellows, they sat with me and gave a little introduction. That is basically nowadays we call it an orientation. And some things were, directly put into my head. Firstly, I was told that for the first 4 to 6 months, I would not be doing anything else but concentrate only on literature, going through literature. Then I was asked by my supervisor to maintain 2 notebooks. I'll just come to it. 2 notebooks. And these were the few things she said. And basically from the first day, my senior in the lab, she took me to the 2 libraries on the other side of the road, the Indian Association for Cultivation of Science and Indian Institute of Chemical Biology. And at that time, I had no idea how to go through literature and everything. So I was given a brief introduction. And from the next day, my day started. I traveled about 25 kilometers, and for I think more than that, from Barakpur to Jadavpur every day. Reached the lab around 9 in the morning. First thing we had to do in the lab was to clean the lab. And that was not only by me, but also by my senior research fellows in the lab. We used to clean the apparatus which had been used the earlier day, table. Even we used to clean our supervisor's table. That was the kind of respect we had for her. So we used to clean everything. It was a lengthy process, 3 of us doing together. then had tea, and one of the notebooks which was meant for the library, I had to go to the library at 10 in the morning every day. So in the library, I had to go through the literature, and if I found something interesting, I had to note it down because those days we didn't have these online journals and all. I had to note it down in the notebook, and if something was very relevant, I had to keep it in the list for getting it photostat getting done. So after doing everything, going to the library and everything, we used to come to the department, and after lunch, our day began with, I had to sit with the supervisor, talk what I learned in the library, and then the experimental part. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Today I am on phone, so as you know, I'm not at home, so a lot of disturbances. And today is the topic, which is of, it's very close to my heart, and the date has been such that I can't uh, give more time to this. So this was the thing we had to do, yeah. So at the end of this, in the afternoon, we used to sit with all the literature, and then after that, my training in experiment started. End of the day, we had to another notebook I had to maintain, and I had to write what all I did during the whole day, and what was my plan for the next day. So these are the things, these are the things that were imbibed in me from the very beginning. So basically, I believe that in research, if you are doing experiment, you have to do a large number of experiments under similar conditions. You have to see that the results are reproducible, and they have to be having some credibility. After a large number of experiments are done, and you get reproducible results, then you sit down to infer. And sometimes things are easier when you have a lot of literature, and you can easier means an experiment, doing an experiment and coming to the end of it. It used to take usually 1.5 years, and then if you have some new theory coming up, then you will have a lot of challenges and everything. So I'm sure in social sciences also you have to give a lot of stress on reading, survey. So basically what you have to do, I think, for research, if you want to pursue research in a serious manner, you have to love it. You have to be very dedicated. You have to do a lot of literature work. And of course, you have to keep your eyes and ears open in order to be able to correlate factors. So I'm sure today's speakers are going to talk about this in great detail, and I think I'll be there on and off. I'll be present as much as possible for as much time as possible. And with these few words, and wishing this webinar a success, and I welcome you all once again to this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for sparing so much time for all of us. Actually, we know that you're undergoing a dental procedure today in a hospital, and you're on your way to the hospital. We know that. That's why I thank you once again on behalf of all of us in the IQSC. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Dr. Madhuchanda Lahiri, Coordinator, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, P.N. Das College, and Head, Department of Economics, to place the concept note of today's webinar. Dr. Lahiri.
Thank you, Professor Shimon Ranjan Bandyopadhyay. May I request those who are present from the IQSC mail ID, will you please do the procedure of admitting the participants, please, till I finish my speech. Okay, so good morning to all. It is indeed my proud privilege to welcome you once again to this national webinar on research methodology in social science, and from the Department of Economics as well as the Department of Education, the two departments jointly organizing this seminar. I will extend a warm welcome to Dr. Bijan Sarkar, Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya, and Professor Arup Kumar Chattopadhyay, along with our valued participants, colleagues, and friends. The COVID-19 pandemic has indeed brought about some stupendous and far-reaching changes in each and every aspect of human life. Academic and the research activities are no exception. Now, as the educational and research institutions are closed and it has become difficult, if not impossible, to physically get involved in the research process by collection of data or going to the labs and doing research work and analyzing them there. So this has hindered the research activities to a great extent, along with, of course, the teaching learning process of our educational institutions. So right at this moment, what we all can do, staying at home, is concentrate on developing some quality research papers on the basis of previously collected data, or concentrate on collecting data from the secondary sources, accessing them, and work and rework on the research works that we have done earlier, and try to get them published in reputed journals. So this is an unprecedented situation indeed. Now, we at the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, P&Dawes College, thought of finding the opportunities that we can get out of this present crisis situation. Uh, we had already conducted a few webinars and workshops on the teaching learning aspect in the changed circumstances that the COVID-19 pandemic has led all of us into. Now, this thought of conducting a webinar on research methodology in social science arose out of the simple logic that this period of reduced physical movements from to and fro one's uh, institutions, whether it's educational institutions or research institutions. So we are saving quite an amount of time doing that. So maybe that real time saved can be productively used for self-education. Now, moreover, this coronavirus pandemic has brought about a wide array of interdisciplinary research topics, encompassing different branches of social sciences, medical sciences like economics, sociology, psychology, law, medical, public health. So these are just a few to name. So this, we can use this period to brush up our theoretical knowledge on different aspects of research methodology, and we can chart out our future course of the research plan by selecting the topic, methodology, etc., for undertaking a full-fledged research work which can be pursued when the situation does return to the normal. So these were briefly the reasons due to which we at the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, P&Dawes College, along with the Departments of Economics and Education, conceptualized this webinar. Now coming to the theme of the topic of today's webinar, as we all know that the research methods outline the system of processes and frameworks and steps and the procedures that a person uses to conduct his research or inquiry into a question or a problem that he or she has. Now, just as there are many ways of cooking a particular dish, similarly, there are different research methodologies that we can use for conducting a research on a particular topic. Now, research methods, they offer the tools we need to solve this puzzle of how to best conduct the research on our area of interest, given many acceptable solutions. So, this entire body of research methodology has certain distinct characteristic parts. This the thing called research, it originates with a question or a problem, the articulation of the goal, and which is then followed by the identification and the definition of the variables. Then we formulate the research problems, the literature reviews are done on the basis of which we formulate the problem. We plan out a research design, which includes sampling design, whether to use primary data, whether to use secondary data, the data collection source, the method, the statistical tests that which are to be used to test the hypothesis formulated, the measurement designs, whether we are going to use qualitative, quantitative methods. So finally, we derive the results between the variables, and we also check whether the questions that the problems that we started with has indeed been answered by our study. If it is not so, then we again go back to the beginning and readdress our question and start afresh. So, of course, nowadays we do have, should have a knowledge of ethical principles also that we need to follow while conducting our research. We all are very much aware of the term plagiarism and all the related issues cropping up with it. So all these are the these are in a nutshell the subject or the topic called the research methodology, and I hope and I know from heart that today's webinar will give a detailed and a comprehensive uh, the outline of the different aspects, if not all, but at least some of the aspects will be dealt with in the 3 technical sessions that we have by some of the most learned, most respected speakers that we have, resource persons that we have at present. They have been speaking on this topic for years now, and we hope and I know, of course, that we all will be benefited and enriched at the end of the 3 sessions. With these words, I once again welcome you to the webinar and hope it turns out to be a joyous and enriching experience for you all. Thank you. Thank you. It is over to you, Professor Shimon Ranjan Bandyopadhyay. Hello. Hello, Professor Bandyopadhyay.
Hello.
Professor Bandyopadhyay, you are muted. Professor Bandyopadhyay, you are muted.
I'm extremely sorry, Dr. Lahiri. I lost my connection, internet connection for a few moments.
Okay.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we come to the close of the inaugural session of today's webinar. And without further ado, I would like to commence the technical session with the presentation of Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya. But before she takes over, I would like to offer a brief introduction of Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya. Give me a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya is currently engaged as an associate professor and head in the postgraduate department of education, Fakir Mohan University, Balasore, Odisha. He has completed his master's degree in education from Shambholpur University, Odisha. He also has a PhD degree in education from Utkal University, Odisha, and has a teaching experience of over 17 years in higher education. He has worked as assistant professor of education at Panihaty Mahavidyalaya, very close to our institution, Shodhpur, West Bengal, for almost 10 years. And prior to that, he worked as principal of Ahiapur B.H. College under University of Burdwan, and has also worked as a lecturer at Jagannath Jain University College, Jhumri Tilaiya, Jharkhand, a constituent college under the Vinoba Bhave University, Jharkhand. He worked as assistant professor in B.Ed at Ishan Institute of Management and Technology, Greater Noida, UP. He has published 24 research articles in different national and international journals, and has also published, give me a few seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I'm lost. I've got it once again. Oh, thank you. He has published 24 research articles in different national and international journals, and has published a good number of chapters in edited books, and is also an author of 2 books so far. He presented papers in different national and international seminars, workshops, conferences, as paper presenter and resource person. His areas of interest are teacher education, guidance and counseling, educational psychology, trends and issues in education and tribal studies. He is also a member in the editorial board of 3 journals and a lifetime member of AIAER and IATE. I would now request Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya to take over. Dr. Acharya, could you please go through with your presentation?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Perfectly audible.
Sir, should I present your PowerPoint, sir? Dr. Acharya?
Actually, madam, before going to start, I would like to tell you, as I discussed with you, I am out of my home and out of my university. I am supposed to perform this UGC NTA observer duty. I am assigned. So I have requested one of my friend, and he has allotted a coaching center. I am sitting with a Padrak in a coaching center, so I am not having so much facilities here, and also my microphone is not supporting. I hope you all hear me properly. So I apologize from my end, and if you can share my slide which I have sent you, that would be better from your end. You can share. I'm just starting my lecture. You can share from your end.
Sir, kindly say when I need to change the slide. Kindly say when
I have sent you through mail, madam.
No,
Through your
no,
IQSC mail, I have sent you.
I heard that. I'm saying when
Actually, she is going to play the PowerPoint, and she needs to know from you when she would be starting it and when the slides are going to be changed.
Yes, I will tell you.
But you need to prompt her time and again. That's what she's saying.
Okay.
My screen is showing.
Very good morning.
Yes.
On the outset, I would like to congratulate the P.N. Das College organizing committee. And at first, I would like to convey my great my sincere thanks and gratitude to Honorable Principal of P.N. Das College, and my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to convener of this program and joint convener and all the organizing committee members and IQAC cell. Also, I am grateful to be the part of the webinar. My co-speakers, one of my very close and honorable Professor Bijan Sarkar is there. Before going to start, I would like to tell you, generally I have worked almost 18 years in UG level. So I am also not very conversant, that means I'm a new person in the field of research. So till then I shall try my level best to deal this particular topic, which is very important. And as you know, there is an issue in undergraduate level, we ignore the research work, most of the teachers, most of the students, and we also find the difficulty, our students as well as teachers in humanities and social science, we find difficulty to select a problem. And so far as research is concerned, you know that most important problem in the present day society is not the religion as religious priest belief, is not the finance as economist belief, is not the sex as Freudian belief, is not the material as materialist belief. Rather, it is the problem of teaching, learning and research and extension facilities available in our institutions as every educationist belief. So it's a problem, research and extension is a problem, and we the Indians, we are facing that much more problem in selecting a problem, selecting a research problem. That is the emerging problem in the field of education. And before going to start, I would like to tell you, and only 2 or 3 universities or IITs, we are getting placed within 200 that world ranking institutions. So how poor we are research, how poor we are productivity in research and contribution in research and other parameters also. So that I am not going to discuss. So you know that research problem, selecting a research problem is very important aspect of our research studies. Any type of research, whatever may be the research topic, area. So selecting a research problem is quite important for each and everyone. Not only for the teacher, but also for the scholars, for the students, and the vulnerable is in case of undergraduate and postgraduate students, particularly in the social science. And we people are selecting some sorts of problem which is not having that much value, which is not having that much importance, which is not productive and which is not socially useful also. That many of the research studies, if you go back to the research studies since last couple of years or after independence, if you go through that, our researchers, most of the researchers, they used to find the such type of problem, they used to identify such type of problem or conduct such type of problem which is not having any significance for the society, which is not much practicable for the society. So that is the problem, that is my concept I am going to deal. So this research methodology in social science is the key topic of this webinar, and I have selected the topic that is selection of a research problem in social science. And before going to discuss, I would like to highlight what is research problem. A research problem is a question that researcher wants to answer or a problem that a researcher wants to solve. That identification and formulation of a research problem is the first step of the research process. As you know that as we are selling the boat without knowing the destination, same is the case also. If you are not properly defined a problem, so you cannot reach the destination properly. So selection of a research or identification or formulation of a research is very key important part of a research process. And selection of a research depends on several factors such as researchers' knowledge, skills, interest, expertise, motivation and creativity with respect to the subject of inquiry. And you know that researchers reach background, reach content knowledge, subject knowledge, skills, interest, and expertise in his own field, and motivation. A researcher must be well motivated. If you are not motivated in that particular topic or the particular context which we are going to select a problem, you cannot select a right problem or a right topic. And motivation is very important, and creativity. As you know that everyone and almost all of you are involved in some sorts of research activities and research work, and creativity, that is the very important parameter of a research. As research establish the relationship to find out the new things or new phenomena, or establish the relationship between the objects, or establish the truth and existing status of the problem or the particular phenomena, and that is creativity is very important for subject of inquiry, for finding out the truth of the particular research. And it is like the identification of destination before undertaking a journey. As we well prepared where we are going, and before that we are fixing up the destination. Likewise, before going to start the journey, research journey, we have to find out the problem. That is very important part of a research. And without a problem, the researcher cannot proceed, because there is nothing to proceed. So the research cannot be undertaken that in a back and without having a particular destiny or destination. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here I have given some definitions, and you know that many of you have studied the definitions of research problem. It's very common. A problem is an interrogative sentence or statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. You know that we are just establishing relationship. We are just identifying the relationship between the two or more variables, and that is why the research statement is very important. And that may be interrogative sentence, or that may be a statement, but it should be well defined, and the answer to question will provide what is having sought in the research. That we have to prove, we have to reach in the destination, whatever according to our objective and according to our research plan, or according to our research steps, that is proposals or whatever you can say, or blueprint. And R.S. Woodworth defines problem as a situation for which we have no ready and successful response by instinct or by previous acquired habit. We must find out what to do. The solution can be found out only after an investigation. So if you have to face a situation for which we have no ready or successful response by instinct or by previous acquired habit, we must find out what to do. The solution can be found out only after an investigation. If we are not defining the problem or selecting a problem, then we cannot proceed further. As you know that selection of a problem, a right problem, a correct, well-stated problem can only facilitate you to proceed towards research. And in other words, we can say research problem is an area of concern where there is a gap in the knowledge base needed for professional practices. I will discuss in next slide how we have to select a research problem, and there are various sources of research problem. And many of my students, many scholars, they ask, even if some teachers also, those who are guiding the MA students, the MA education students, MPhil students, sometimes they ask also to other teachers, then you just give me some topics. My students, they want some topics to conduct research. So because the teachers, they also find problem to identify research. Even if in different groups, in social groups, say for an example, social networking groups in postdoctoral research or any research group, if you are there, you can find many teachers, they are working, they are not finding a problem how to find out a good select a problem, research problem. That is very quite important task of a teacher or a researcher that we should know. And there are so many aspects for finding out a research, and I will discuss one by one. So first one is personal experience. How personal experience? Say for an example, one teacher belongs to from social science background, maybe history, maybe political science, maybe economics or sociology or education or any other subjects. He has studied from the very beginning, and he is acquainted with the particular topic. He used to teach that particular topic, and he might have faced various problems with related to teaching and learning, with related to content, and he might have studied some previous research studies and might have faced some problem. These are the things which are not covered, or there is a gap to conduct the research. So on the way of our life, say for an example, during this pandemic, many people, many students, many scholars, many teachers, they are conducting research from their personal experience. Even if the management students, even if the economic students, they are dealing with the economic aspect, the socio-cultural aspect, the sociology people, or the societal relationship and the existing societal conditions they are doing during pandemic. And we, the people education background, those who are from education background, we are facing the problem from personal experience, how our students are facing the particularly teaching learning during how this pandemic is affecting teaching learning, and how this online or digital or virtual learning fulfilling the teaching learning process during pandemic, and how examination is conducted, and what are the barriers. So we can find so many topics from our personal experience, and you know that life is full of experience, and society is in a continuous flux. Society is changing. So in the changing situation, in the changing need, you can select a problem what you are experiencing from your day-to-day life. And practical experience, while we are dealing with the students, say for an example, as a teacher, we are dealing with the students in classroom, and with the teaching learning process, we are facing the managerial skills and also classroom control, and you can say that different barriers, students unrest. Also you can find the socio-economic status of students, and also you can find with related to methodology and strategies of teaching, finance and other things. So many practical experiences while we are working. Even if while we are doing practicals in Psycholab, or we are doing some case studies or extension activities, or you can say some community activities. So in that way we are experiencing something, and we are gaining many things. We can also select a problem out of that from practical experience. And critical appraisal of literature, this is another important part. Say for an example, every teacher, every student says they are following some literature, they are studying some of the writings, some of the works of other persons, and we are going through the dissertation, we are going through the thesis and some project work of different people, and how they have conducted research, and we are also thinking what are the gap, what are the mismatch, and what are the new things we can add, and which areas are not added, which areas are need to conduct research, we do also. So it depends on the nature of your subject, nature of your content, nature of the area. When we are following some text, reference material, journals, and some articles, some even if the report of different organizations, while we are going through, then we are critical appraisal of the literature. So we are collecting basing on our interest, basing on our area of interest. We are conducting. We can select a problem by studying the various literature and previous research. Say for an example, just yesterday, one of my students, she asked me, sir, I have never, I could not find a single topic basing basing on my particular research in MA, so I am the first person to conduct that particular research. That is a Ujjwal and Utthan scheme for quality enhancement of teaching learning in school level, in primary level and secondary level by Sikkha Abhijan that is implemented by government of Odisha. And he told me, sir, if external asks, so how I would answer the question, there is no review of related literature and previous studies, previous research, there is no such type of research. I told him there are many related research with that particular quality enhancement of teaching learning for minimum level of learning. You can relate those things, and that thing that you can tell that particular topic is not studied, nobody has conducted research, but there are some other types of research that is conducted, so you can tell. So previous research, we can also select the problem. So say for an example, whatever may be your content, whatever may be your subject or specialization, so while you are conducting research, while you are following different articles, you can study what are the researches conducted in that particular area, so you can select a particular research out of the previous research studies. And also what are the areas not done, or what are the gap in the particular research. And for further research, you might have seen in different research publications, so there is a scope for further research. So we can also take an advantage of further research, and they used to leave that one for the academician, that we can also select as a previous research. Then existing theories. So there are many theories are there, but we people have never practiced it, or we people have never implemented or conducted research. So how theories works, and how theories satisfy, and how much and how far and how well these theories are applicable into different situations. So to test the implication of a particular theory, existing theory, and the researcher what they have developed also theory, we can also say for an example, Gardner, multiple intelligence, that whatever is left, that is also many researchers are conducting research after the Gardner left that particular place. So there is a scope to conduct, to find out the truth, and to select a problem related to the particular and available theories and existing theories in the particular social sciences or whatever the subjects. And social issues, you know, that due to the science, the advancement of science and technology, due to the advancement of our urbanization, modernization, Sanskritization, and globalization, the complexities of life is increasing by day. And particularly the social science, this deals with the various social issues and social ethos, social relationships, and man-to-man relationships, and man with matter and other aspects. So social issues is very important, and in the particular society we are living in the particular society in 21st century, so it's a problem that we are everyone is having some sorts of problem. So not only the man is having problem, where we are living, that relationship with the society, there is also a problem. So we can select so many problems with our societal status, societal phenomena, and existing societal issues available in the society. So this is social issues are there. We can select the problem, and which is unknown, which is also we can establish the relationship, and we can also find out the truth and find out the reason behind the particular issue. And brainstorming. So brainstorming, you know that it's a particular strategy we follow generally. We think about and we storm about the particular problem, and we have to think about a particular problem, and we have to find out the various ways, various parts, various aspects of a problem, and how to select a particular problem out of that while we are dealing a particular topic, even if in a classroom. Say for an example, about the we can have a brainstorming session in our college or in our institutions, in our departments, and a particular problem would be given to the students, and the students, they will think what are the parallel problem, what are the available problem in that particular problem, and what are the different ways and what are the different angles to think about the particular problem. So accordingly, we can select many problems of a major problem. That brainstorming, when we think about and when we illuminate and when we spark about a problem, that many sub-problems will arise into our mind. Then another is intuition. You know that intuition is very important, that we have to think again and again. We have to introspect ourselves. We have to intuit ourselves, and we can illuminate ourselves, and then we can find many problems by intuition. And folklores, in particular social science, you know that flora and fauna, folklores, these are the very common things in social science, and there are many research studies, particularly in literature, particularly in social science, particularly in humanities. It has been conducted, and also we invent many languages, many cultures, many you know, that is which is not invented, which is not explored. Many things are there with regard to our folklores, so we can collect the different sources, different problems out of the folklores, and what is available locally, or what is available in your society, or what is available in your context, in your local context, and exposure to field situations. And you know that when you are not entered into a field, into a practical conditions, into a real life situation, so you cannot identify a problem. So simply remaining outside, remaining aloof, you cannot identify the problem, what are maybe the problems. So when we are going beyond the institutions for conducting any types of extension activities, or you can say that is awareness programs, or you are sending the students for field study or project work, or you are simply educational institutions, different industries, and different religious peoples, as well as you can visit the different functions and festivals of different peoples. Then you can find out. Say for an example, if you go and visit a particular tribal area, tribal locality, so you may not have many problem in your mind. When you are going and entering to the village, then only by seeing, by observing, by identifying the different culture, by locating the different cultures and their lifestyles, their situations, their upbringing of children, their cultivation, their finance, their food habits, everything you can select when you are going to a field situation. So exposure to field situation is very important. So we can select a problem in, and that we, according to our interest areas, according to our related subject, we can go beyond to the classroom, beyond to our educational institutions. So we can collect various problems related to the social science, and we can select many problems related to our areas. Then consultation with experts, you know. So we may not have the rich knowledge about the subject matter, about the research opportunities. You know that few years back, our UGC and ICSR, they have specified the theme of social science research. Earlier, what we were doing, we were conducting research according to the interest of the teacher, or according to the specialization of the teacher, or the interest areas of the students or the scholars. In the same time, now also we are conducting, but the government, our Ministry of Education, MHRD, as well as the ICSR and the UGC and other funding agencies, they are specifying the theme. They are identifying the theme which have a social value, which have a economic value, which have a political value, which have science and technological value. So that is why, without conducting research from your own areas, you can ask the experts, those who are working in different fields, those who are conducting research from many years, those who are involved in research activities for many years, those who are supervising since a couple of years and have produced many research scholars and have taken also and many research projects and the patent of many research, and they have an incubation center, they have a research center, and they are conducting research continuously. So we can consult those people, what are the areas having the values, having the significance to conduct research in nowadays. That way we can ask, these are my specialization, these are my areas, and besides that, apart from that, we can also take suggestion from other people. And I am telling you another thing, I'm giving from my own example. Actually, I joined just after my master degree in a B.Ed college, that is a Christian college at Chhattisgarh, Raipur, and I was pretty junior, only 23 years that time. And my father, principal father said, you teach, there are 3 papers in B.Eds, and the one was specialization, one was measurement and evaluation, and other one is school administration and management, another one was career information and career guidance. And I was not much aware about career guidance.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
What happened?
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Somebody had started presenting. Please wait a few moments.
What happened? That
somebody started presenting.
That you have to teach this one. Then when I started teaching, so I explored many things in this particular topic, and I took a research problem. While I taught for 2 and 3 years, then I decided to have a select a problem, that is career guidance and career information and career maturity. I took a research topic and I conducted research and I completed my PhD in that particular topic. So while we are teaching for many years, we can also gather many information. We can have a rich background. We can have many things which is not explored, which is not known, and we can suggest, we can ask our seniors, our other professors, the experts, and we can select a problem. Then elements of a research problem, that you know, there are 5 things for selecting a research problem. 5 things we have to be very careful. That why research, what is research, when to do, and where to do, and who or whom. These are the 5 things we have to deal. And why means we have to be very careful that this answer of a question, why of a research problem, why I selected this problem. This answer the question, why of a research problem, that objective of the aim of the problem. This means why there is a need of carrying out this study, that there must be some value, there must be some objective, that must be well stated, and that must be fulfilling the variables that it's supposed to test the variables and relate the variables. Then what the topic or theme which needs to investigate it, that is very important aspect of our research problem. What to be conducted, what to be investigated, what to be studied, that answers that question supposed to get from the research problem. Then when the time dimension, the period of the time study, that is also very important. We have to select, before selecting a problem, if it is action research, if it is for a particular project of a graduation level or master's level, then we have to select that type of problem. If it is a higher research or for a project, that we have to think whether it is for 2 years or 3 years or 6 months, it is minor or major, that we have to see, that we have to perform accordingly, and we have to select the problem. Then that is where the area or location where the study is to be conducted. That also to be very clear, that while we are deciding a research problem, we have to be very careful where to conduct this research study, and the answer of the question where need to conduct the study, that is very important in the research, selecting a research problem. And who and from whom. The answers the question who or from whom, that who are the respondents. That means sample, that population and sample, that must be, and to whom we would collect the data, and that persons or a group of persons or a particular activity or particular administrations or particular institutions or particular culture or particular religion, that we have to specify. That must be clear, that the problem, you know, that face validity is very important. Likewise, that while we are selecting a research problem, that should be clearly stated, that should be clearly defined, that itself must be clear, that anybody can see and can assume that what the topic he or she is going to conduct and what the particular research problem. So this is very important for research activities. The second thing is content validity, that what you are going to do, but the face validity, that selecting a problem, that must be very clear, that must be very that should not be ambiguous, and that statement must fulfill the criteria of research, selecting a research problem. It should look like a problem. And many topics I have seen, many researchers, they used to select that topic, there is no clearly, that is not clearly stated, and you cannot understand whether he is going to have a experimental research or survey research or historical, what he is going to do. So you cannot make out from the problem. So this problem sometimes also clarifies what type of research, from the statement one can identify what type of research we are going to conduct. And after that, there are some precautions while we are selecting a problem, while we are selecting a research problem, that a researcher must keep in the mind that the topic should be important, significant. That many, for the sake of conducting a research, that already it has been conducted, and many, you can find many researchers, what they are doing, they are just changing the locality, or they are only changing the slightly problem, and they are copying the problem of others. Or that particular example I can tell you, that in service Bijan, the same study, many undergraduate student and postgraduate student are conducting. So what is the essence? There are some more areas, there are some hidden areas, there are some important areas which are left. So you find out those things, you find out the important and significant for the society, which must have research value, which must have some significance for the contribution of the society, for the usefulness of the society, that one should. And the subject on which research work has been overdue should not be chosen. Many, as already I have discussed, many researchers, they are taking the same topic, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe in a particular area. I have seen, particularly if you see, in particularly Nadia district, many people are only doing a scheduled caste. I have seen some of the MA scholars dissertation same, only scheduled caste, or any research article only scheduled caste. Why not Purulia? Why not Mankuda? Why not Medinipur? There are some other areas also. So particularly MA students, why you are conducting the same study again and again in subsequent years? So you have to be very careful, and you have to be choose a right problem, and that must throw a new light. And the problem should neither too narrow or too big, too bad. So very narrow topics many are taking, and very vague topics also taking, which is not having any research value, which is not supposed to conduct a research. That is just a review study, or you can say that is a very common thing. One of the experts asked me, what are the findings you are telling to a researcher? That is already one can assume, one can identify, one can tell before conducting the research. So what are the new things you got? So nothing is new. What is that we supposed to select such problem which will illuminate new things, which will throw light new things. That is very important. The topic of research should be familiar and feasible so that the researcher can easily have an access to related research materials or source of research. Say for an example, some students are taking such type of topic that it is not feasible for them to conduct research. So what they are doing, they are just collecting the data from the existing data, that is from internet, that is from secondary sources. So there is no scope of a primary conduction of research. Next slide, madam. You can. I'm just going to the last part. Yeah. Next. So controversial subject. There are some students, they select controversial topic. The controversial topic should be avoided. That we should not conduct research some controversial topics. Say for an example, political fightings and other things, and also which is some particular religion, hidden things. That should not be. That is not our part. That is government is to look out to those things. That should be avoided, and also it's quite difficult to collect the correct data for a controversial things. While selecting a research problem, the researcher should also take into account the various factors that we supposed to see, that what importance of subjects, qualification, training of researcher, investment, money and energy. All these things we need to take into consideration. Say for example, the scholar cannot take who is not getting funds, which is not getting any financial grants. He should not take such topic which will take long time and he has to spend a lot for data collection and other things. So if at all we have to decide the topic according to our qualification, according to our level, according to our financial and budgetary conditions, and the year of research we supposed to do. And there are some other things also we have to make sure the topic is ethical to study. That research ethics is very important. That we are lacking. That is why UGC has given warning to the researcher that we are not supposed to copy and paste and plagiarism, and so many things are there. And for students, for scholars, for the professors also, for the academicians, there are some research ethics that we supposed to see while we are selecting a problem, while we are preparing a research proposal, or while we are conducting research, or we are writing research report. We should have a personal interest in the topic. If we, say for example, I have seen many of my students, they, even if at a graduation level in B.Ed, I have even if here also in M.Ed as well as in MA education, I used to face the problem. Though I have not yet conducted any research, I have not taken any scholar for PhD. I supposed to take next month. So I have faced this problem, sir. Even if for writing a project, for writing a pilot study, the students they ask, sir, আপনি একটা বলে দিন না একটা টপিক আমি একটা করতে চাই রিসার্চ। Even if the MPhil scholar, they used to tell, sir, I would like to select a problem for my MPhil. Sir, kindly tell me some topics. So I used to tell, what are your interest areas? What are the topics you like, and what are the interests you have, and what are the motivations you have in different fields? You just tell me, then only I can select you a problem. So this is very important. Research is always a personal interest as well as for the social interest. That we have to be very careful. And every time we supposed to be newness, novel. Newness and novel is the essential characteristics of finding or selecting a problem that we are supposed to do. And repeating previous research is not at all. We should not repeating the previous research is not at all good for a researcher. We can take what are the things left or what are the changes we can have and what are the areas we have not conducted, in that areas we can have, but not the same topic. Make sure the research question is clear, because while we are selecting a problem, some questions arises in our mind that I am not going to deal in detail as I am supposed to end. So it's very important for a researcher to have some questions, research questions. That research questions are the criteria, are the parameter for entry into the topic. So become a scholar in an area of specialization. Read, listen. These are the some how does one find these topics to research. Now become a scholar in the area of specialization. So we should conduct research mostly in our specialization, mostly in our areas of interest, or that we can perform better, that we can go to the deep, to the insight, and in real sense we can conduct research, not for the sake of conducting research. Read, listen and discuss and think critically. We have to read. That the researcher must be continuous reader, continuous learner, and we have to listen to others. What are the views of others, and how other people have interpreted, how other people have depicted the same results, and they have got the same results. And discuss, we have to discuss with the experts and think also critically. That is, so you know that the creativity, as you know that sometimes that eureka, I got it. That is the pleasure of a man when we find out the problem also. Yes, this must be a right problem, and I supposed to conduct. And when I got the answers of my questions, while I am questioning and got the answers of my questions, and that is the greatest pleasure of a researcher. That is the greatest moment of a researcher while we are thinking critically and getting the answers. And follow up the ideas that stem from present research. Explore areas of dissatisfaction. And always we might have faced some problem, and what are the right direction, whether I am going the right way, and whether the problem what I have selected, and accordingly I am going to prove, according to I am going to justify the problem, whether the objective which is framed and hypothesis which I have framed and the variables which I have taken into consideration to test, whether I am going in the right direction to test those things. That is very important for a researcher, and that is why we should be very careful, we should be very cautious while selecting a problem. And the researcher, and he must be he must have inquisitiveness, he must be innovativeness, he must listen to others, he must have great patience, he must have that divergent thinking. Besides convergent thinking, he must have divergent thinking. How to get solutions of the problem, how to go, in what direction we have to go, because that selecting a problem is not only important, and how to, if you fail to select the right problem, you cannot reach in the right destination. So selecting a problem is the same important, as well as we have to select a research proposal, how to execute that particular problem. I think this is the important aspect of a researcher, and all of we, whether it is science or social science or humanities or education, whatever may be the subject, we must be very careful, we must be very cautious, and we must be well aware before selecting a problem, and that must be, the statement must be clear, the statement should not be ambiguous, the statement must have the both sides, independent and dependent variables. Then only we can justify our problem, we can go through the right direction and through the particular research proposal. And research proposal and the research synopsis is very important after selecting a problem by which we can carry out our research to reach in the destination and to get the fruits of the research. So this is all about my topic. So thank you. As I told, and I'm very pretty junior and a beginner in the research, because almost 18 years I taught at undergraduate level. Since last 7-8 months I am teaching at postgraduate level. So if you have any queries, I hope Professor Bijan Sarkar is the right person, and he is the mentor like for us, and he is known as great scholar and great academician, and I think he will be able to solve the question which arises into your mind. And if I can help to some extent, but he will deal the matter very effectively. So, any questions, madam? Can you finish within 5 minutes? Any questions if there is? Because I supposed to reach in the center for observation duty at 12. Already I am late. 10 kilometers I have to go. So very sorry because there are 2-3 things are there, and in a single day I could not manage time properly to go deep into the topic. So any doubts, any queries, I hope the convener will help me to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Acharya, for your insightful presentation. Now, may I request Professor Bonnie Shamunto, Head of the Department of Education, P.N. Das College, to assist Dr. Acharya with the interactive session. I think there are 1 or 2 questions in the chat box. Professor Acharya, would you please take over? Are you there, Bonnie?
Yes, sir, I'm there, but my microphone is not working. I am connecting my mobile one to hear your.
Okay, we can.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir, I am audible.
Yes. Okay, sir, I start. Thank you, sir. Thanks to Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya for excellent presentation. I think everyone has enjoyed the session and they have been enriched with the information you have provided throughout the session. So, sir, only one question in the chat box. Name is Sanjay Ghosh. He asks, what is the latest FDP rule? Am I audible? I repeat, Mr. Sanjay Ghosh has asked.
Got disconnected. Me. I'm not quite sure about that. Sir, can you hear us? Dr. Acharya, can you hear us? He's there.
Sir, can you hear me?
I am here. I am listening.
Only one question in the chat box, sir. Mr. Sanjay Ghosh has asked, what is the latest FDP rule?
Yeah. FDP, Faculty Development Program.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You see, FDP are generally it's supposed to be 5 days or 7 days, not below 5 days. And you know that FDP, there is no existing rule that it's supposed to be from UGC sponsored or any, but that should be some significance, some values. Say for an example, the UGC is giving guidelines from time to time that for gender sensitization, for MOOC and other things, that FDP should be conducted on the basis of the guidelines of the UGC, and also it's always good to have a sponsor or to collaborate with some research organization or academic institution to conduct FDP. And FDP as such, recently we are not getting any marks for FDP for assistant professors. So far I could see for attendance there is no marks, and for paper presentation as a resource person, or there is a marks for FDP, or for promotion from assistant professor to associate professor, last then associate to professor, that FDP is very important. Otherwise, FDP is not that much important for a beginner, those who are assistant professors, and I think they are not providing marks as per the new regulation of UGC. But FDP that must be conducted, gender sensitization, social issues, and other, say for example, technological and academical issues. Say for an example, a few days back, IIT Patna, they conducted one moral, universal moral values. That is FDP conducted and initiated by UGC. That if someone is attending those, I think that would be better. But any FDP is useful to learn that means you use the knowledge what you gather for your institutions, for your students. So for the sake of collecting a certificate is not important or not very significant, but we learn many things when we attend any lecture, when we attend any program. So that is very important.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, sir, I want to give many thanks to you for this beautiful lecture. Sir, you have explained very nicely with the example. I think all the participants got much clear view on this topic. So they have no question. It was a very informative session. Thank you very much, sir. And I hope we will meet again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, over to you, Shuman, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Acharya and Professor Shamanto. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite our second speaker, Dr. Professor Bijan Sarkar, to deliver his lecture. But prior to that, let's have a brief introduction to Dr. Sarkar. Dr. Bijan Sarkar is currently a professor in the Department of Education, University of Kalyani, West Bengal. He received his MSc in Soil Chemistry from the University of Calcutta and MSc in Education from Kalyani University. He also received his PhD degree in Education from Kalyani University. His specializations are educational technology, research methodology, and educational psychology. He has published 8 books and more than 35 research papers. 7 PhD degrees have been awarded under his supervision. He has acted as resource person in more than 50 different national and international seminars. Dr. Sarkar, would you please take over?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I present my PPT, then I discuss. PPT-টা দেখা যাচ্ছে তো? Hello? Anyone respond? PPT clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I may start. Thank you to the organizer for giving me the chance or giving me the opportunity to share my experience with the audience. Thank you to the college authority and also IQAC cell. And my topic for today's discussion is approaches of research in social science. This is my topic. And the points of my today's discussion is like that. Different approaches or types of research used in social science. And as I am a teacher from Department of Education, University of Kalyani, I want to show some collaboration or some relationship or some reflection from my field also. So there are some important notes from educational research, and I think this educational research is generally comes from this social science research. And finally, some new trends in research. This is also another approach of research I want to highlight in my today's discussion. So before entering into my main discussion, I want to highlight some of the books or some of the research papers for my reference. This is one of the book research method handbooks. This is also a e-book, and the participant may download this from net. Very simply, this is the 37 pages books, research method handbooks. And also, this is also a book, Oxford University Press, The Nature of Social Science Research. This is also another article, a typology of research methods within the social science. This is also very good for today's discussion. They made a typology. I want to show you this typology of this type of social science research. This is the main categories and subcategories of the typology. All these are different types of research used in social science. Then, this is also another book, Qualitative Research Methods Overview. This book is also very good for qualitative research. Another book, this book is from SAGE publication, Research Methodology, a step-by-step guide for the beginners. Third edition, this book is also very good. This book also is also available in website as ebook. Anyone can download this book from website. This is also an important article published in CC, actually Creative Commons, University of South Florida. This article is also very good, all around 40 or 45 pages. This is also another book, Social Research Methods, Alan Bryman, a book from Oxford University. And this is one of the old book from my bookcase, Social Research Methods, David Dule. This book also a good book, but I think this is somehow not the updated book from today's discussion. Okay. And this book, I prefer this book, and I like this book very much. And I have a hard copy also. I have also hard copy of this book and also the ebook. And this is the book, Pearson New International Edition, Social Research Methods, Lawrence Newman, and it is 7th edition. This book is around 599 pages. Yes, 599 pages. And this book is available as ebook. Anyone can download this book. And I think in social science research, this book is very good and also an important book. Anyone can download. Okay. And from this book, I want to discuss some of the points. And this is the main book. These are the chapters or table of contents. This chapter, what are the main types of social research? I take this topic for my today's discussion. And also I want to reflect some of my views from educational research. So, this is what are the major types of social research from the angle of Newman. And in this book, there is a small table, chart 1, dimensions and major types of social research. These are the dimensions: use and audience of research, purpose of research, within or across cases, single or multiple points of time, data collection technique. This is the dimension. All these are dimensions, and under this dimension, these are the types of research. And today I want to highlight some of the main types from this dimension and types. First, dimension and types of research. First, these are the dimensions. Who are the audience and what are the uses of research? Generally, the main objective of research is to generate knowledge. And from this point of view, if the main purpose of research is to generate new knowledge, and if there is no aim to apply this knowledge to our practical life or our practical problem, then it is one kind of research. This is called some fundamental research or some basic research. And there are some research whose main objective is to solve our practical problems. Then it is called applied research. So this is the use of research, and this is the most fundamental types of research: basic research and applied research. And if you consider this applied research, you may find that there are different types of applied research. One is action research. All of us know that this is action research is one kind of applied research. And in the book of Newman, there are other two types of applied research. One is evaluation research and other is social impact research. And this in our educational field, we do not generally discuss this evaluation and social impact research. This may discuss in another category. Okay, then I want to just mention or discuss a little bit about this evaluation research and social impact research. So first, evaluation research. What is evaluation research? This type of research tries to determine how well a program or policy is working, how well a program or policy is working or reaching its goal and objectives. That means it's tried to answer the question, does the program or policy work? That means work properly. Is it good? Is it working properly, like that? And I want to show one example from my field. That means field of my education, that does constructivist strategy. This strategy is a strategy for teaching, constructivist strategy. And this type of strategy is emphasized from NCF 2005, National Curriculum Framework 2005, from teaching at different level of education. So the question is, does constructivist strategy improve learning over lecturing? Lecturing is also a method of or strategy of teaching, and a researcher wants to evaluate what does the constructivist strategy improve learning over lecturing. This is one kind of evaluation research. So evaluation research try to evaluate a program or policy with respect to its effectiveness. Then another type of research, which is social impact assessment research, in short, social impact research. And what are the objectives? What is the main objective of this type of research? It estimates the likely social consequences in advance of planned change. In advance of a planned change. So if you consider today's scenario, that there is a new educational policy 2020. So if you try to evaluate or try to predict the consequences of NEP 2020, that means what are the consequences or impact, what will be the consequences or impact of NEP 2020 in educational field or like that, then it is social impact research. And this is one kind of prediction research. So there are lots of discussion, lots of webinar regarding this NEP 2020. So is it research? All this discussion in webinar, all this discussion regarding NEP 2020 or consequences or merits and demerits of NEP, according to researcher, according to the expert, is it research? Okay, I want to highlight or want to show 2 points. Number one, mere gathering of facts of information, of facts or information or moving facts from one situation to another is not research. That means this type of discussion is not research. So what is this? Actually, research is always based on some data or evidence. For doing or conducting research, researcher will have to collect data or evidence from different sources or different angles, from samples also. Then he or she analyzes the data, then it is research. Otherwise, it is a personal opinion. So this type of discussion or this type of webinar, it is actually not research. It is some of the experts' reflection on NEP 2020. I want to show one book regarding this point. The book is Nicholas Walliman, Your Research Project, 3rd edition. This book is also available as e-book, but you cannot download this book, but you can read this book from the website. And this book is very good, very interesting book. And in this book, there is a chapter, what is not research. This is very important, and this is very much interesting. I think this is very much interesting. What is not research? Most of the expert, most of the researcher, or most of the teachers are discussing or discuss regarding what is research. This book discusses what is not research or research wrongly used. This book is very interesting, as it is also available in website. So without any data collection, research is a research. It is anyone's or myself. It is the personal opinion of this researcher or person. Next, according to the different dimension, I have considered one dimension, use of research, then another dimension, purpose of research. What is the purpose of the research? Considering this purpose, there are, according to Newman, there are three types of research. One is exploratory, another is explanatory, and another is descriptive. I want to discuss first two types of research, exploratory and explanatory, in detail, and it is somehow related to our educational research also. And in descriptive research, researcher tries to describe a situation elaborately, describe different dimensions, different facets, different factors of a phenomena or fact in detail. Then it is called descriptive research. Now I want to discuss in detail the exploratory and explanatory research. Okay, according to Creswell, this is a very important book in educational research. I always suggest these books for our PhD scholars, that this book is very much important. In this book, Creswell mentioned there are 6 steps of research. One is identifying a research problem. Already Dr. Amulya Acharya already has explained regarding this identifying a research problem. There are so many points regarding this selection of problem. And after this, identifying a research problem, there is another step, reviewing the literature, then specifying the purpose. That means what are the objectives of my research topic, then collecting data and analyzing and interpreting data, then reporting and evaluating research. These are the 6 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these 6 steps are for any educational or social research. Then, suppose, or we consider a topic, problems of SC and ST in West Bengal. Here I mention one word, educational. If you consider the topic as educational problems of ST in West Bengal, then it is educational research. And if you delete the word educational, that means the problems of ST and ST in West Bengal, then it is social science research. So, considering the problems of ST and ST in West Bengal, and if you consider the steps, or very simplified steps for doing or conducting this research, then what will be the step? Number 1, researcher first considers the objectives of the research, then select the sample, then select or develop the tool. Tool means tool by which the researcher wants to collect the data. Then apply the tool on the sample. When researcher applies the tool on the sample, then data, and after applying the tool, the data will be collected. And after that, data collection, data analysis, and data interpretation, and finally findings and conclusion. These are the simple methodology, simple steps of doing this type of research. And if you consider these steps, you can find that step number 2, 3, 4, these 3 steps are very important for research, because these steps are meant for collection of data. And already I have said that research is always based on data. Okay. Then I want to highlight on a single point, that is select or develop a tools. Just consider for these problems of SC/ST in West Bengal, researcher considers questionnaire for collection of data. In social research, social science research, or in educational research also, questionnaire, there are two types of questionnaire. Questionnaire means sum of questions or sum of items. There are two types of questions or items used in questionnaire. One is open-ended or structured. One is structured or closed-ended, and another is unstructured or open-ended. That means the question or item may be open-ended and the item or question may be closed-ended or closed-ended. Closed-ended means fixed response type. That means there are fixed options. There are some items, and under the items there are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 options, like very simple yes or no, or true or false, agree or disagree. Okay? This type of options are called closed items. And open-ended means there is no option. A sample would have to write or would have to tell in the context of questionnaire, the sample will have to write the answers for this specific question, open-ended question. And from this discussion, you may find that in closed-ended question, there is no option to respond on their own. On their means for sample. Sample had no option, have no option to respond on their own. But in case of open-ended question, the sample can respond freely. And from this point of view, if you consider the point exploration means explore something or to find out something new. And if you consider this point exploration, then you may find that only open-ended question will help the researcher to explore. But in case of closed-ended question, there is no chance of exploration. And from this angle, this exploration, from this angle, research may be classified as exploratory research and explanatory research. That means in exploratory research, exploring new knowledge is possible, and is explanatory research confirming the existing knowledge is possible only. Okay, then if you compare the exploratory and explanatory research, then you can find that the aims of research, if you consider the aims of research, in exploratory research, it is explore, it can explore, and the main objective of exploratory research is exploring something, and it is in fact broad. And in explanatory research, it is very much specific and it explains something. And if you consider the nature of the research, exploratory research is flexible in nature, but in explanatory research, it is rigid and it is not flexible. It is fixed. The option is fixed. So the sample will respond in a structured or fixed response category, and the researcher analyze the data, score the data in fixed way, in rigid way. But in exploratory research, researcher is more or less flexible in conducting the research. Then tools for data collection. In exploratory research, it is open, and already I have said that in exploratory research, it is closed. Data analysis, in exploratory research, it is thematic and qualitative, and in explanatory research, it is statistical. That means there are two types of statistical technique. One is descriptive statistics, and another is inferential statistics. And its explanatory research, inferential statistics is used. And nowadays there are some software also for analyzing qualitative data in vivo, and this type of different types of software also is available. And in case of statistical analysis, there is well-known software, that is SPSS. And in my research, I used SPSS, most probably 8 version 8, and nowadays it is around 2022 version. Okay, next. Knowledge gained. In exploratory research, the knowledge gained or the knowledge is somehow subjective. That means objectivity is low, but in explanatory research, the objectivity is high. That means subjectivity is low. So, considering this point, considering these points, aims, nature, tools, etc., you may find that in both the cases, in both the research approaches, there are some positive and negative aspects. In case of exploratory research, there is some positive and negative aspect, and is also in explanatory research, there are some positive and negative aspects. So, considering this point, and now I want to share my reflection or my viewpoint, this type of research from educational angle. We know that there are two types of data. One is qualitative data and another is quantitative data. I mean, and if you consider these two type of research, one is exploratory and another is explanatory. And in exploratory research, the tools used are open. That means the data collected from sample is qualitative. So in exploratory research, the data is qualitative, and in explanatory research, that means fixed choice, the data is quantitative. And from this angle, in our educational research, this type of research is called qualitative and quantitative research. And we may generally consider this category as qualitative and quantitative research, but both the meaning of explanatory, exploratory, and qualitative research are same. So now the question is, which one is better? Because in both the research, there are some positive and negative aspects. So which one is better? Considering these positive and negative aspects of both of these research approaches, now, hello? Okay, now researcher, or in today's trend, both this type of research is merged, and there is another type of research which is called mixed research, and in broader term it is called mixed method research. And this mixed method research is a new trend in today's research arena, in the case of educational field, and I think also in social science research also. So if you consider this mixed research approach, what are the definition? If you consider the definition given by Creswell, then you can find the highlighted points, that collecting, analyzing, and mixing both the qualitative and quantitative data in a single study. That means in a single study, both qualitative and quantitative data are used. And after doing this, collecting and analyzing both this quantitative and qualitative data, it provides a better understanding of the research problem. And so mixed research is better. Actually, it is better than qualitative and qualitative research. Next, this is the nature of mixed research. I want to highlight one or two models of mixed research methods. This is one models. What is this? Researcher collects data in quantitative way. That means the first box, quantitative data collection and analysis. Then researcher collects data simultaneously, not then, simultaneously. Data collect qualitative data and analyze the data, and both the analyses are compared, and then the final interpretation is done. This is one kind of mixed research model. There is also another model. There are according to Creswell, there are 6 models. This is one model. Another model is, first, researcher collect data in qualitative way. Suppose in our previous problems of SC and ST in West Bengal. Suppose researcher interviews some of the SC and STs in West Bengal and ask a question regarding the problems of them, and after considering or after collecting the data, the researcher prepares a list of problems which are collected and analyzed from the sample, and the researcher prepared the list, and after preparing the list, then the researcher frames a questionnaire of open and close-ended. Hello. Okay. Then researcher prepare another questionnaire of close-ended. That means after collecting data, after collecting qualitative data, then it follow up with some quantitative data collection and then interpret. Then it is called another type of mixed research. That means researcher first collect data through qualitative way, then he analyze the data, then he concludes something. After the conclusion, he prepare another questionnaire considering the findings reached through qualitative way, and after preparing this fixed choice question, he applied this questionnaire to another sample, and after applying this data, the researcher collects and analyzes the data and finally interpret. This is also another type of mixed research, and this is also very important. And in our educational field, there are so many research done in this way. Then there is also another case. This is the dimension and types of research, and this is another dimension within or across the cases. According to Newman, there are 2 types of research. One is case study research and another is across case research. What is case study research? Case study research examines many features of a few cases. That means here the sample size is very much low. Sample size is very small. It may be 1. And the cases may be individual, it may be group, organization, etc. And the data are detailed. There are detailed data. The researcher here collects detailed data regarding the research problem. And it may focus on a single point in time or duration of time. I have discussed this in another type of research. And most case study research is qualitative, but not all. Most of the case study research is qualitative, but not all. And in across case study, the researcher here compares select features across numerous cases. That means here the sample are large, and in case of case study, the sample are small. Here select features across numerous cases. What are the, according to Newman, the cases may be 30 to 3,000. 30 to 3,000 may be cases, and not carry out a detailed investigation of each cases. This is not a detailed investigation. And there are another dimension. And one thing I just miss. In our educational field, this across case research, we use another term. This is survey research. Across case research or survey research. Then this is another dimension. The dimension is single or multiple point in time. Is it single point in time or multiple point in time? In case of collection of data. Okay. Considering this dimension, according to Newman, there is two type of research. One is cross-sectional and another is longitudinal. In cross-sectional research, researcher collects data in single point of time. And in longitudinal research, researcher collects data for a multiple point of time. And in longitudinal research, there are three categories of research. One is time series research, the another is panel study, and another is cohort study. I want to show the one picture for these three types of research, actually four types of research. And this is also taken from this book, Social Research Methods, Newman, 4th edition. Consider the first point, cross-sectional research. Here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 types of sample, and researcher collects the samples from different types of samples in one point of time, at one time. And in case of, and in 2, 3, and 4, these three types of research is actually longitudinal research. The first is time series. Here, different point of time are there. One is 1950, 1970, 1990, and 2010. But the people are not the same. What is the difference between cross-sectional and time series? In cross-sectional, the time is same, the sample is different, and is longitudinal, the time is different, and also sample are different. And in panel discussion, we observe the same people for a long period of time. You can see the picture in 1985, in 1995, and 2005, the sample are same. And in case of time series, the sample are not same. And in case of cohort study, that means in the last case, 1962, 1982, and 2002, here the sample are different, but they shared some common experience. That means married in 1962, married in 1922, and married in 2002, all the sample have the same experience, but they are different. So these are the three types of longitudinal research. Okay, then there is another dimension according to Newman, data collection technique. In this type, there are two types of research. One is quantitative research and another is qualitative research. Already I have explained the qualitative and quantitative research. Okay, then in case of quantitative research, according to Newman, there is experimental, survey, and non-reactive. And another, in case of qualitative research, there is field research and historical comparative research. In case of our research, in educational research, this historical research and comparative research are two types of different research. I do not want to discuss this point, and this is one of the oldest book of educational research, Understanding Educational Research by Vandalen, and basically this book is now out of print. In our library, this book is there. But if you consider this book in today's in present time, then this qualitative approach, this quantitative and mixed approach, all this type of research is not available in this book. In this book, in our educational field, there are basically, this book mentioned three types of research: historical, descriptive, and experimental. Not only that, there is also another book, another authentic book, the educational research based on con. And in this book also, educational research, there are three approaches. Hello? Okay. But, okay. Hello? Hello. Okay. If you consider this descriptive research according to Vandalen or based on con or our so-called common book, this is Lokesh Kaul. If you consider this descriptive research, there are different types of descriptive research. And if you consider the whole point, the total discussion of this descriptive research in the book of Van Dalen, in the book of Western Khan, Lokesh Kaul, and also Newman, the different types of descriptive research is like that. There are three types of descriptive research: survey, interrelationship, and developmental studies. And is in survey types, there are different types. And this is the final step. And in interrelationship studies, there are also different types of research. In also a developmental studies, there is also different types of research. All these are different types or approaches of research. Okay, then this is also, I already mentioned this book, Educational Research, John Creswell. Another research book, Research Design. And in this book also, there are three types of research: quantitative, qualitative, and also mixed research. And there is another book, this book is also very good, Research Methods in Education. Then, okay, I want to conclude my topic mentioning another point. I have to skip this type of this one. This is one of the main new trend of our research: multidisciplinary research opportunities or research approach. What is multidisciplinary research? Multidisciplinary research is said to be a research when experts from diverse grounds work together on a common theme. That means the topic, the problem is same, but different experts from different fields are there to conduct the research. Then it is called multidisciplinary research. Just consider the following examples. That's example. This is one example: effect of globalization and privatization on education. If you consider the point, there are two parts. One is education, effect of education, effect on education, and there is another part, globalization and privatization. This part, this globalization and privatization part, is also the subject matter of economics or commerce. So this is one kind of multidisciplinary research, example of my multidisciplinary research. Contribution of Akbar on Indian education. There are also two fields, one is history and is education. Educational philosophy of Gita, that means philosophy and education. Awareness of students regarding environmental pollution, that means one field is environmental studies, environmental science, and another is education. That means awareness of students. Educational implication of folk tales, that means folklore and education. Problems of ST students, already I have discussed this. Educational aspects of Rabindranath Tagore's short stories, that means Bengali and education. So this is the new trend of multidisciplinary, or another name is there, collaborative research. And if you consider these two renowned names, Binet and Simon, and if you consider these two names, Binet is psychologist, and Simon is a doctor, was a doctor, and both of them conduct the same research, and finally the outcome is intelligent test, and it is around 1905. So this type of research, one is psychologist and another is physician or doctor, and this type of research is called collaborative research approach, and this is one of the main trend or new trend in our research field. Okay, so I think the time is over. So this is my final word. This is a quotation: nothing is right and wrong in research. Research is an addiction with an endless search for its drug. This is a saying of P.S. Kumar, known as father of multidisciplinary research. And this is myself, Bijan Sarkar, PhD. Okay, thank you. I have concluded my topic or my discussion.
Thank you, Professor Sarkar, for the informative session on approaches, strategies, methods, dimensions, and types of research, and especially towards the end, multidisciplinary research. It was a wonderful session. May I now request Professor Deboshree Bhattacharya Das of the Department of Education, P.N. Das College, to moderate the interactive session. Professor Bhattacharya Das, would you please take over?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sir, I am audible?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Dr. Bijan Sarkar, for such an enlightening presentation. It is really helpful for us, and we have expanded our knowledge. Sir, now we will move on to the questions that arise in the chat box. I would like to ask some questions on behalf of the participants. First, Shangram Keshwari Panda has asked, sir, why explanatory research is rigid?
Is rigid, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That means actually, in fact, the explanatory research is like quantitative research. And in quantitative research, the data collection procedure and the data interpretation procedure is everything is rigid. That means pre-established paths or ways are there for analyzing the data or the writing the research report, everything like that. And if you try to find out the structure of research writing in quantitative research, there are some fixed chapters. Chapter 1 is introduction, chapter 2 is review of literature, chapter 3 is methodology, chapter 4 is data collection, analysis and interpretation, chapter 5 is discussion, like that. But if you consider the qualitative research or exploratory research, the researcher can write a total chapter considering a single research question. So there are different types of chapters considering the question. But in case of quantitative research, the data collection and data interpretation, this portion is fixed. So how to write quantitative research is also rigid and fixed. But in case of qualitative research or exploratory research, researcher can use his or own strategy to interpret data, and for that reasons qualitative research or exploratory research is subjective, and in case of quantitative research or explanatory research it is basically objective. That means there is subjectivity is less. Suppose I want to compare or correlate the data of intelligence and creativity, and the value is 0.33. That means the correlation is positive but low, and this interpretation is done by pure statistics. There is no subjectivity of the researcher. So if anyone can question regarding the findings, they or the person may also validate the data through interpretation or statistical analysis. But in case of qualitative research or exploratory research, the researcher, there is some subjectivity with respect to researcher. Okay, then any other?
Yes, sir. Mr. Shangram Keshwari Panda asks one second question. Sir, research work should be beneficial for the society or not? As most of the research scholars do their research works only for getting a PhD degree, but their research works are neither beneficial for their or nor for the society and education system. So in this case, what is your opinion towards this situation, and what will be your suggestion to the research scholars?
Okay. in fact, actually, when the researcher doing a PhD, so I think in our psychology field there are two types of motivation. One is intrinsic motivation and another is extrinsic motivation. And in case of PhD degree or awarding or attaining PhD degree, there is some extrinsic motivation that I have to do my work to award, to getting the award. And for this reason, they generally do not take risk or take some controversial issues or take some important issues. They generally take some easy topic so that they can conduct the study easily and finish that research in a just rigid or structured way. But this is not always true that all the researchers are doing this type of research. There are so many researchers also, they do some innovative work in this field or in education or other field also. This is not a generally, you cannot say that all the researchers do this type of work. Okay, any other?
Yes, sir. Mr. Shahid Anwar want to know that, sir, how to motivation lost in academic life regained?
Motivation lost in academic life regained. This type of question is not related to my topic. I think this is what I have discussed the different approaches of research. So this is not this platform. This is not the platform to answer this type of question. I think so.
Yes, sir. Sir, Porimal Mondol has asked, if most of the case study research is qualitative, then it may be quantitative when case study research conduct in qualitative way.
According to Newman, I have already mentioned that according to Newman, case study is a approach how to collect data. It is an approach of collecting data. So if you try to collect data through some close-ended question, then the data may be in the form of quantitative data. Because what is case study? Case study is an in-depth study. Researcher tries to find out different types of data from a single sample or single point of view. So this may be qualitative data or this may be quantitative data. According to Newman, all the survey type, case study research means qualitative research or qualitative data. It is not correct.
Sir, Shangram Keshwari Panta asked again, sir, my question is, most of the research scholars from top universities all over the world discontinue their work before completion of PhD, even after working for 2 to 3 years in their research work. Actually, what is the reason behind this? It is clear and no doubt that the research scholars are very talented. Who is responsible for this? How can it be controlled if we consider for India? And what is the necessary steps taken by the respective universities and government of India towards this?
Okay. Considering this question, I think that there is no single causes for this type of dropout or discontinuing the PhD research. So before giving some suggestion from my aspect, I think there should be some data collection from this type of researcher, why they discontinue, and after conducting this research, then there will be some finding. I like that. Otherwise, it will be some. It may be my personal opinion that I think one reason may be there, that the selection of problem is not proper. Okay, after conducting 2 or 3 years, they found that their topic is not appropriate or correct for conducting the research. It may be the cause. It is my personal opinion. I did not collect any data, so the reason is not very much clear. There may be so many reasons. So after conducting the data collection, I may or we may some suggestion there, give some suggestion. Okay.
The next question asked by Tanushree Banerjee: is it exploratory research is correlate with multidisciplinary research?
Or multidisciplinary bolte cheyeche. Okay.
Mone hoy, yes.
Is it exploratory research correlated? Okay. Multidisciplinary research is like that. From two different fields, experts are there and do their research. It may be exploratory, it may be explanatory. There is no controversy regarding this. Multidisciplinary research or collaborative research may be explanatory research, may be explanatory research. Anyone?
Sir, MD Shahid Anwar Laskar wants to know what are the best ways to find industry mentor with education research?
Industry mentor?
Yes, sir.
What are the best ways to find industry mentor? It is, I think, it is very specific for some research which are needed, where needed some industry mentor. Most of our research is not directly related to industry. This is this type of research is related to business administration like that. So there may be some different ways to find industry mentor, but according to UGC guidelines, there are some eligibility criteria for being a mentor for any kind of research. So this criteria may be followed for this type of finding industry mentor also. There's some experience all there. They have some research works. They have some completed some research project like that. I think so.
So next question, Sanjay Ghosh has been asked: what is ethics in research? It's a very simple question.
Okay. No, it is a very simple question. But I have not discussed this point in my today's topic.
Yes, sir.
It is actually related to plagiarism. Ethics is related to plagiarism, copy paste plagiarism like that. There are so many. There are fixed and rigid notification regarding plagiarism, and all of us know that 10%, we may borrow or take some quotation from research is permissible according to UGC is 10%. There are some ethical issues, and most of the ethical issues regarding plagiarism is one of the issues. There are some other issues also in our behavioral science researcher. Okay. Next.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question has been asked to Sangram Kishori Panda. How can we increase the skill of writing literature review in a perfect way? Give some suggestions.
This is also not my today's discussion. There is also another session is there for discussing this point. How do we write a review of related literature? Today I have discussed only the different approaches, not related to review of related literature. So I want to give one suggestion. Just read the book of Creswell. There is a chapter of review of related literature, and this chapter is very good for writing review of related literature.
Okay, sir. The last question is from Sangram Keshari Panda again. Can we do a research by combining both philosophical and psychological aspects?
Why not? Obviously. Philosophy is always there in every subject, in every aspect. Constructivism is a psychological view and also a philosophical view. So constructivism is a philosophy and it is also a psychology also. So it can be done, easily done.
Okay, sir. No more questions left from the chat box. Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks again. And now
Professor
I would like to
Sarkar.
hand over to Suman Ranjan Bandopadhyay sir to continue this program. Hand over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Sarkar and Devosri.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, with this we entered the third technical session of today's webinar. The session is going to be conducted by eminent researcher and teacher, Dr. Arup Chattopadhyay, Professor, Department of Economics, Burdwan University. Now, Dr. Chattopadhyay, over the last 37 years of teaching and research experience in different academic and professional institutions, has acquired core competence in financial economics, mathematical economics, econometrics and statistics, public finance, operations research. His areas of research interest are stock market efficiency, behavioral finance, primary market and pricing of IPOs, poverty and inequality measures, derivatives trading. So these are the areas of research interest that Dr. Arup Chattopadhyay holds. Currently, Dr. Chattopadhyay is Professor of Economics since November 2006, and formerly he was the head of the Department of Economics at the University of Burdwan. He also served the University of Burdwan in the capacity of Dean, Faculty of Arts, Commerce and Law, etc. for nearly 5 years. He initially joined the post of Reader in Commerce at the university in March 2000 and became the head of the Department of Commerce, Burdwan University. Professor Chattopadhyay started his career, interestingly, in 1982 in Punjab National Bank as management trainee, popularly known as probationary officer, and he developed an expertise in operations management in banking. From October 1983 to December 1994, he served as lecturer in economics at 2 undergraduate colleges in West Bengal, namely Ashutosh College, Kolkata, and V.S. Mohavidyalaya, Manikpara. He then joined the Department of Commerce at Vidyasagar University, Midnapur, in December 1994 as lecturer, and subsequently he got promoted to the post of Reader in Commerce. His total teaching experience at university level is nearly 26 years, and as a teacher, his ratings by the students have always remained very high. Academically, Dr. Chattopadhyay has a PhD in economics from Vidyasagar University. Initially, he was registered for the program, for the PhD program at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. But due to
Professor Bandopadhyay, Professor
Yes.
Bandopadhyay,
Yes.
we are running short of time.
Okay.
No need of much introduction.
Actually,
I'm a very
I've
simple
been
person.
That's okay. And moreover, I have been giving a long list of publications by Dr. Chattopadhyay. In fact, if I reading the entire list would take an entire session maybe. So without further ado, I would request Dr. Chattopadhyay to take over and start the session.
Thank you, Professor Bandopadhyay. Actually, I'm very sorry for interrupting him. A very good afternoon to everybody present here. Professor Sorbila Dey, Principal of P.N. Das College in absentia. My co-speakers, Dr. Acharya and Professor Sarkar, IQAC Director, and also the teacher of
Hello. Hello, sir. You are muted, sir. Hello. Please unmute yourself. Hello, Dr. Chattopadhyay.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
Thank you, Professor Bandyopadhyay, and I'm extremely sorry for interrupting him because we are running short of time. Already 10 to 15 minutes we are running behind the schedule. A very good afternoon to everybody present here. Professor Sarmila Day, Principal of PN Das College in absentia. My co-speakers, respected Dr. Acharya and Professor Sarkar, IQAC Director, Dr. Modichandra Lahiri. She is also my direct student. She completed PhD under my supervision. Other distinguished faculty members of the college and dear participants. It's really a great opportunity on my part to deliver lecture in front of such a galaxy of intellectuals. And as per program schedule, I would like to deliver lecture on, so to speak, two topics. One is philosophy of research, and second one is basics of research methodology. Sequentially, the first part should be discussed first, and followed by and second one later. But I have, due to shortage of time, I would like to present the second part first and the first part second. So first, second part, that is basics of research methodology, as a number of participants are from economics department. To draw their interest, I have selected the second part, and to draw the interest of all participants across various disciplines, I have chosen the first part of my lecture, that is philosophy of research. Regarding second part, I should first make a brief presentation or distinction between research methods and research methodology. Research methods means the techniques which are used for successfully conducting any research. That is, techniques may be mathematical technique, statistical technique, operational research, operations research technique, econometric techniques. Number of techniques are available from different disciplines. But research methodology is a holistic term, I should say. Holistic term in the sense that research methodology includes all the methods and also the logic behind selection of a particular method, excluding all other alternatives for successfully conducting any research. That is why I am taking this particular method when number of other methods are available to be applied for my research. Why I am using this? What is the logic behind selection of a particular method? That is to be presented in research methodology. And while participating any workshop or seminar or symposium on research methodology, our objective will be to present the logic behind the methods That is why a particular research scholar will select a particular method. That logic should be cleared in the research methodology workshop, and I shall try to present the methods in terms of the logics. Now, after knowing briefly the difference between research method and methodology, next, to do any research in social science, especially in economics, we have to collect data, and data may be of different types. And if we can have clear knowledge on data type, then it would be easy for me to select a particular method out of alternatives. So for data types are concerned, the first data type, from the measurement point of view, there are 4 types of data. That is data that can be subtracted, that can be divided, and that can be ranked. That sort of data is known as ratio scale data. For instance, income. That is, my income is suppose 10,000, your income is 20,000. So we can divide these two. Your income is double of my income. That can be subtracted. That is 20,000 minus 10,000. And you are relatively richer than me. That sort of ranking can be made. So data which can be ranked, which can be measured, and which can be divided, and which can be subtracted, that sort of data is known as ratio scale data. The data which can be ranked and which can be subtracted, but division is not meaningful, that sort of data is known as interval scale data. Suppose I have data of 2 years, 1980 and 1990. So 1990 minus 1980, that means 10 years difference is there. That is, subtraction is possible. 1980 is a older one and 1990 is a latest one. So you can rank also these two data. But 1990 divided by 1980, that is meaningless. So where division is not fruitful, is meaningless, and only subtraction and ranking, these two are possible, that sort of data is known as interval scale data. Third type of data, where only ordering rank can be made, neither division nor subtraction, that sort of data is known as ordinal data or ordered data. Suppose few products are given to you, and as per your preference scale, you are making a ranking that product A is very good, excellent, product B is good, product C is satisfactory, product D is poor. That means you are ranking the products as per your preference scale. So this sort of data is known as ordinal data or ranked data, which can be ranked. But product A minus product B, that is meaningless, or product A by product B, that is also meaningless. The fourth type of data that I mentioned, that there are 4 types of data. So fourth type of data is where neither division nor subtraction nor ranking, nothing is possible. That sort of data is known as nominal scale data. Suppose I want to know the marital status of the participants. So marital status may be bachelor, maybe married, maybe widow, maybe divorcee, live together, number of categories are there. Now, you cannot make subtraction between married and unmarried, or division, married divided by some unmarried. Or you also cannot rank marrying is better than not marrying. You cannot say that. That depends on the choice of particular person. So the data which cannot be ranked, which cannot be subtracted, which cannot be divided, that sort of data is known as nominal scale data. So So from measurement point of view, we get these 4 types of data. Now I should say first 2 types of data, those are known as quantitative data. That is first 2 data. That is ratio scale and interval scale data. Those 2 are jumbled, assimilated, combined, and that is known as quantitative data. That is known to you. Second one is known as ordinal data or ordered data or rank data. That is third category. That is ordinal type of data that may be termed as ordered data or rank data. And third is known as qualitative data, which can be classified. That is, suppose there are 150 participants. Out of those, suppose 100 participants are unmarried, 10 participants are married. So these are the frequencies, classifications are there. So this sort of data is known as categorical data or frequency data or qualitative data. Now it is to be remembered, it is to be kept in mind, that is, if you want to apply any test, test of significance, which is used for by the researchers while conducting any research to establish any result meaningfully, then the parametric tests can be applied when your data is either quantitative or qualitative. That is, 4 types of data are combined into 3 types, that is quantitative, qualitative, and ranked. And if your data is either quantitative or qualitative, then parametric tests can be applied. And the students who are, or the participants who are from economics or commerce or related management, they know that there are 4 sampling distributions, that is standard normal Z distribution, chi-square, T, and F. With the help of these tests, we can we can apply parametric tests, and those tests can be applied when your data is of either quantitative or qualitative. But if you have ordered data, ranked data, ordinal type of data, then parametric test cannot be applied. There, non-parametric test is to be applied. So I would like to mention briefly the basics of research methodology means the data type and the method which is to be selected. There are textbooks, there are different packages, software packages. Applying those software packages, you will be able to get the results. So only one problem you may face, that what type of method is to be applied. With the brief presentation, I would like to make you aware, that is the methods which are to be applied for the particular type of data that you have in your hand. So non-parametric tests, there are different non-parametric tests, run test, sign test, that is Kruskal-Wallis test, Wilcoxon, ransom test, Minnob test. Number of tests are there, and if you want to get the ready-made handbook for all these tests, you can follow the book of 100 statistical tests. The title of the book, 100 statistical tests, and the author's name Gopal Kanji. That book is available in ebook form, and you can have download it. That is freely, that is available. So 100 statistical tests by Gopal Kanji. There, parametric and non-parametric tests are there. Now, switching over to other component of the data, I should mention that if you have the data that you may not have, so data may be continuous or maybe discrete data. That is, I am considering the data in a different angle. That is discrete or continuous. More specifically, if you have continuous type of data, that is income, that's a continuous data. Age, that is continuous data if you measure age in terms of months, days, week, in that way. So if you have sales, profit, income, all these are continuous form of data. Now, if you have continuous form of data, then there is no problem. You can apply the usual methods. But sometimes we get the special cases. That is, we may not have continuous type of data, full information continuous type of data. That is, I am making distinction between continuous data and discrete data. Continuous means the data which can take any value within a certain interval. Suppose 2 and 3, between 2 and 3, any value may be taken by the variable, that is 2.1, 2.01, 2.001. In that way, if you get the data, that is known as continuous data. But if data is meaningful after certain intervals, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is integer form, then that is known as discrete data. So you may have continuous data and you may have discrete data. And accordingly, your research method will be different. Now, generally in textbooks of statistics, econometrics, or personal research, we consider data is of continuous type and we have full information on the data. But sometimes while doing research, we may not have this sort of data. We may have limited information data. We have continuous data, but data is of limited information. I can give you example. Suppose, as per your objective of the study, you want to judge the economic standard of living of the persons who are not paying income tax. That is, the persons who are not paying income tax, you want to examine only those families, those households. That means you are not using full information. You have data on full information, either census data or from NSSO, you may have data, or you have collected data from your sample survey, but you are not using the full length data. Only you are restricting yourself to the consideration of the lower stratum. That means, suppose 5 lakh is the cutoff income. That is, the households whose income are less than 5 lakh, only you want to take those households in your study. And you don't want to take the households whose income is 5 lakh and above. So you are truncating your study. And if you want to get any analysis, then the regress analysis, that is which factor is responsible for economic well-being of the household, then you have to run a regression, and that regression will be truncated regression, not full regression, usual regression. So this is, if your data is of truncated type, that is, you may not have full information. You have information, but you are restricting yourself to a particular part. That is that sort of regression. Sorry, I mentioned a wrong method. That is known as censored regression. Censored. You are censoring yourself. That is, you are censoring yourself to the consideration of those households who have income up to 5 lakhs. So their censored regression is to be applied. But if you have data and you don't have access to full information, then truncated regression is to be applied. This is the difference between censored and truncated. Censored means you have full data, but you are restricting yourself to a part of the data. But if you don't have full data, and you are bound to consider a part of the data, then you have to apply different type of method regression, that is known as truncated regression. I can give you one example. Suppose you want to examine which factors are responsible for cracking civil service exam. That is IAS, IFS, IPS. What are the responsible factors? occupations of the parents, or the family income, or place of residence, or the education level. You want to know that. And if you want to get result meaningfully, then you have to consider all the participants appearing in civil service exam. And you know that that number is not less than 6 lakhs, 6 lakhs or more. That means you have to collect data, you have to consider those all 6 lakh candidates to conduct such type of study. That is not possible for a researcher to collect that sort of data. So what he or she can do, he or she can go to Mussoorie, and in Lal Bahadur Shastri Training Institute, there only you will get the past candidates who have cracked civil service exam, and from them you can collect data. And you are collecting data only from those candidates who have qualified the civil service exam. And collecting data, you want to establish your result. So you do not have full access to that data. You have limited access, and if your data is that type, then you have to apply truncated regression. So it is to be remembered that what type of data you have. If you have not full data, part of the data, then either censored regression or truncated regression is to be applied. Other special type, I will talk about the general case later on. Other special type is the data may not be continuous type. And if the data is not of continuous type, then usual regression or correlation cannot be applied. That is, you have discrete type of data. Discrete type of data may be of two types: categorical data or non-categorical data. That is, non-categorical data means I can give you example to get knowledge about this very clearly. Suppose you want to know the number of patents used by the pharmaceutical companies for last 10 years. And what are the reasons behind this number of patents used by the pharmaceutical companies? Now, your data, what type of data you will collect? Either no new patent is used, or one patent is used by the company, or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In that way, that varies from 0 to a large number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that sort of data is non-categorical data and discrete. And if you have non-categorical discrete type of data, then the regression which is to be applied to know your result, that is known as Poisson regression, not the usual regression, Poisson regression. If you have categorical data, now I am coming to the other part, that is categorical data. Categorical data may be of 3 types. That is discrete data, that is divided into 2 types. One is categorical, other is non-categorical. For non-categorical, as I mentioned, Poisson regression. Now come to categorical type of data. That is, data can be categorized, can be classified. And if you have data, categorical data, that is categorical, may be discrete categorical, or may be qualitative type of data. And that categorical may be again of 3 types. What are those 3 types? Unordered data, ordered data, and sequential data. So I am talking about categorical data. Categorical data are of 3 types, that is unordered, ordered, and sequential. Now coming to unordered data, unordered means you cannot make ranking between 2 or more than 2. Suppose you want to know the factors responsible for owning 4-wheeler. That is, you are collecting data from the households, from the families, and you want to estimate demand function for four-wheelers, you have the research problem that presently recession is observed in the four-wheeler companies, and you want to examine what are the factors behind the inadequate demand, inadequacy of demand. You want to examine that. So what will be your dependent variable? Dependent variable will be either owning car or not owning car. So owning car, you can allot 1, not owning car, you can allot 0. So 1 and 0, this is binary type of data you have, and you want to examine what are the factors behind owning car, whether income level or place of residence or occupation or family size. You want to examine that. Now, you have only 2 categories, and you cannot make order, that is unordered, because you cannot say that owning car is better than not owning car, because that depends also my personal liking. I am not a risk lover, rather I am afraid of taking risk. So I don't want to have a car on my own. So you cannot make ranking between these 2, owning or not owning car. Similarly, if you have data on place of residence, that is, some people may have need to live in rural area, some may have the place of residence in urban, some may have semi-urban. So categories may not be always 2, that is binary. Rather, we may get polychotomous data. That is, division may be more than 2, dichotomous, not dichotomous. So in that case, if you have categorical data and unordered data and dichotomous data, that is binary type of data, then you should apply logit model, L-O-G-I-T, logit model. I am giving you the summarized version of all the research methods. If you have categorical data, unordered, and more than 2 classifications, that is polychotomous type of data, then you have to apply multinomial logit distribution. Multinomial logit distribution. In first case, I mentioned, in case of binary, logit or probit, I am not using many terms. Logit model is a better method. If you have more than 2 classifications, for example, 3 classifications as a place of residence, then you can apply multinomial logit model. If you have ordered type of data, ordered already I explained, that is, you have orderings as per your preference scale. So if you have ordered type of data, that is categorical and ordered, that is excellent, good, that is, you are categorizing, classifying, you are classifying the data, and that is, you are making order. That in that case, what you have to apply? You have to apply the ordered logit model. Ordered logit model. Now, if you have sequential data, sequential means what is that? Suppose you have data on education. Number of participants are from education. So education level data, that is not ordered. That is not. That is of course ordered data. That is of course categorical data, but it has a special feature. What is that? I am dividing the educational status in this way. Persons who are illiterate, persons literate but below Madhyamik school level exam, up to above Madhyamik and HS, that is school final or school level exam, to higher secondary to graduation, and above graduation, post graduation. In that way you are dividing. So if you have any candidate who possesses master's degree, then that candidate should be in the group below Madhyamik, also in the group up to HS, also in the group up to graduation. But we usually do not do that. What we do, we keep that candidate in that category, which is his or her own category, that is postgraduate level. Similarly, the candidate who passed bachelor's degree, that candidate is kept at that class, not other classes, that is below classes. So here, classifications are there, but we are not resembling. The data is not overlapped. We are keeping the data in its own place. Logically, that can be placed in the lower category, but we are keeping that at a higher place where that data its character. So that sort of data is known as sequential data. And if you have sequential type of discrete data, then you should apply sequential logic. So I mentioned these are the special situations which may come across, may be come across by a research scholar, and research scholars should not run the usual method of establishing relation, either in terms of correlation or regression. Rather, special type of regressions are to be applied. As I mentioned, logit, multinomial logit, next ordered logit, sequential logit, Poisson in case of non-categorical discrete data, and truncated and censored when you do not have full information regarding data. Now, coming to the econometric one, I should consider this would be my last point on data classification, that is basics of methodology. That is, from nature point of view, we can divide data into three types. One is cross-section data, second one is time series data, and third one is pooled data, which is also known as panel data. And presently, researchers are using more and more the panel type of data, because this gives a very good result. And in the developed countries, scholars are using this sort of method using panel data. So cross-section data means when time is fixed and you are collecting data from different sections of the society, that is known as cross-section data. Suppose I want to know the consumption function. I want to estimate the consumption function. So I am collecting data on consumption and income of different households in the year 2020 September. Suppose during the month September of 2020, I am collecting data from different households. That sort of data is known as cross-section data. And the usual regressions and correlations, those methods are applied for cross-section data. But if you collect data over time for a variable, then that data is known as time series data. And we get special branch of econometrics, that is time series econometrics. And in case of time series econometrics, first you have to judge the stationarity of the data, whether data is stationary or not. If the data is stationary, then you can apply the VAR model, vector autoregression model. If your data is non-stationary, then co-integration type of model is to be estimated. So usual regressions should not be applied in case of time series data, especially after 1980s, late 1980s. This study, this branch of research methodology has been developed very much. Previously, all data, that is where that time series or cross section, usual regressions were applied. But now it is to be remembered that if you have cross section type of data, then you can apply usual regression. But if you have time series type of data, the first thing you have to check whether data is stationary or not. There is no time to introduce what is meant by stationary or like that. Now, if data is stationary, then okay, you can run either regression or vector autoregression. But if you have data, which one time series data, which is non-stationary in nature, then you have to apply co-integration technique. Now, if you have data which is the mixture of cross-section and time series, that sort of data is known as pooled data. That is, you are pooling both time series component and the cross-section component. Now, a special type of pooled data is known as panel data, where economic units or the units from which data are collected, say the units remain same. Suppose you are collecting data of 15 companies for last 10 years, and all those 15 companies remain same, then that sort of data is known as panel data. That is 15 companies, means cross-section, collecting data for last 10 years, that is time series. So when you collect data of 15 companies over last 10 years, that sort of data is known as panel data. But if your companies vary, first you have taken 15 pharmaceutical companies for the first year. In the second year, you have taken 15 cement companies. In the third year, you have taken 15 oil and natural gas companies. So that sort of data is known as pooled data. But your research should be based on controlled experiment, just like the experiments done by the students or scholars of physical science or life science. They usually conduct their research within the laboratory under controlled environment. Similarly, we, the scholars of behavioral science, social science, our laboratory is the society. And from society, we have to collect data. And we have to collect data under controlled experiment. That is, controlled experiment data is known as panel data. That is, you have to combine both cross-section and time series, and combining these two, you have to collect data. And that sort of data is known as panel data. And in case of panel data, you have to apply different sort of method, that is panel regression. And for panel regression, you have to select first the model, whether the model, there are three types of model: random effects model, fixed effects model, and pooled model. And those models are selected on the basis of two tests. One is Bruist-Pagan test, B-R-E-U-S-C-H, Bruist-Pagan, P-A-G-A-N, Bruist-Pagan test, and Hausman test, H-A-U-S-M-A-N. On the basis of these two tests, models are selected, which particular model is applicable, whether random effect or fixed effect or pooled. Then you have to run the regression. That is, panel regression is to be applied when you have panel type of data. I should mention that if you have panel type of data, then you have to use Stata. Stata is a software package. Using that sort of package, you have to apply the panel type of data. If you have time series data, then the most suitable software package is eVuge. And if you have cross-section type of data, then you can apply the most widely used data, that is the SPSS software package. That is, SPSS software package is to be applied for cross-section For time series huge, and for panel type of data, you can apply the data. So this is about the whole structure of the research methodology. So far, economics or social sciences, business, mathematics, business, commerce, all these are concerned. These are the methods. I briefly presented all the methods, and those methods are to be selected as per the nature of your data, the data that you have collected for to solve your research problem. Now, I would like to switch the next part because already it is 2. Do I proceed to analyze further? I have to take another 30 minutes. I am requesting the organizers, what is your opinion? How much time you can afford for me? How can I have time so that I can initiate the second part?
Madhuchanda, please respond.
Pardon?
Sir, yes, madam, I was asking you, ma'am. Sir, can we do it in briefly, sir, a bit, maybe in 15-20 minutes?
10 minutes?
Yes, sir.
15 to 20 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you have attended 3 lectures on research methodology, and you have gathered some knowledge as per your own discipline. But the basic question that is generally not touched by the research scholars or by the resource persons, that is the philosophy of research. That is, if you do your PhD work, what is the full form? Doctorate in philosophy, MPhil, masters in philosophy. So philosophy term is there. Why philosophy? You may you do your research. You do your research in economics, but you are getting a degree in philosophy. Or you are doing research in physics, but you are getting degree in philosophy. So why philosophy term comes in the research? That is the question, and that haunted me much at this fag end of my career. Being a teacher, scholar of economics, I went through the books of philosophy. Why philosophy term comes into the arena of research? And I get some knowledge. I would like to share that with you. Now, what is the definition of research? Research means the repeated, if necessary, repeated, logical and systematic search for new knowledge. You have to acquire new knowledge, and that knowledge is to be acquired through systematic and logical search. Now, as soon as knowledge comes into the picture, philosophy starts. That is, your knowledge will be confined within the universe. Within the universe. Your knowledge cannot go away from the universe. And the whole universe philosophically is taken into consideration by Plato, Socrates, Aristotle in the name of metaphysics. And it is to be remembered in mind that metaphysics is not after physics. That is where physics ends, philosophy starts. This is not so. Metaphysics means with physics. That is, what is the existence? What is the object? What are the relations among the objects? What are the properties of the objects? Time, space. All these are taken into consideration within the metaphysics concept. Later on, we get another renowned philosopher known as Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant introduced the concept of moral philosophy. The first one was known as first philosophy of Aristotle, and he used the term metaphysics first, and that term is expanded by another renowned philosopher, Immanuel Kant. He considered also the mental thing within that is the freedom, God, and immortality. These three concepts are included within the form and substance component of metaphysics of Aristotle. Aristotle considered metaphysics in terms of substance and form, and the freedom, that is, human being has the freedom to make choice between good and bad. And there is someone, God, he considered, he was a very pious person, God, who will judge after your death whether you have you have done a good thing or bad thing. So good, bad, your moral concept, all these are also included within the objects. Due to paucity of time, I don't want to enter into that area. That is a very abstract concept. I should mention that philosophy of research stands on three basic pillars of philosophy. What are those three basic pillars? First pillar is known as ontology, O-N-T-O-L-O-G-Y, ontology. Ontology is a special branch of metaphysics. What is that? Ontology deals with, is a study of being, B-E-I-N-G. That is, what is there? If you ask question in that way, what is there? That is the existence you want to know. That is the part of ontology. And second pillar, that is known as epistemology. Epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. As I mentioned earlier, that knowledge, new knowledge is the main concept of research. With the help of research, we want to derive new knowledge. And study of knowledge is known as the epistemology. That is, what is there? That is the part of ontology. How do we know that there is that thing? Suppose what is there? Suppose there is a cow grazing the field. And what is there? You are asking question. That is, there is a cow. How do we know that that is a cow? So that is the part of epistemology. And natural epistemology is also known as theoretical methodology. That is, how do we derive knowledge? There are 6 ways by which knowledge can be derived. What are those 6 ways? First type is known as through perception. That is, using your 5 organs. That is observation, hearing, smelling, getting touch. In that way, 5 organs are there. Using your 5 organs when you derive knowledge, that is known as knowledge through perception. You can derive knowledge through inference. That is inferential knowledge. That is with the help of reason, with the help of interpretation, you can derive knowledge. You can derive knowledge also through comparison. Comparison. That is, suppose you don't have any concept like yak, and from your friend you get the knowledge that yak looks like a cow, it has long farts, smelled, bad smelled. And after going to a forest, you observe such type of animal who has a long far, bad smelled, big horns. So by comparing, you come to the conclusion that this is yak. So this sort of knowledge derivation is known as knowledge through comparison. This is third one. Knowledge can be derived through intuition. And in management, this term, this is the method by which knowledge is derived in many times. That is using hunches, using your past experience, using guesswork, you can derive knowledge. That share price will increase. 30% of my product will be sold in the market. That is, this sort of knowledge is known as knowledge through intuition. Suppose you are getting the sound of the rain and you are coming to the conclusion that it is raining now. So this is intuition. Knowledge can also be derived through testimony. Testimony means someone is dictating. Authoritative leader is there and you are getting knowledge from that. Suppose there is a teacher who is teaching the small students in kindergarten, and that teacher draws one picture on the blackboard, and after drawing that picture says that this is a dog. So all her students, they learn that a dog looks like that, and that animal is termed as dog. So this is the authoritative knowledge is derived from authority. Authority is here teacher. Authority may be political leader, authority may be religious leader. So from there also a human being can derive knowledge. And last one, that is knowledge through culture. That is first one through perception I mentioned, second one through interpretation, that is inference, third one through intuition, fourth one through comparison, fifth one testimony, and last one that is through culture. Suppose there is a stone lying before you and you are a pious Hindu, and you are feeling that this looks like the symbol of Lord Shiva, and you are worshipping that this is the symbol of Lord Shiva. A Christian is passing through, and if he observes that stone, he will consider this is merely a stone, not any symbol of any god. So knowledge is different to different persons depending on culture. So in that way also knowledge can be derived. So this is the area of epistemology. And third pillar, as I mentioned, that third pillar is known as axiology. So these are the three pillars, and those three pillars are much discussed in philosophy. And on those pillars, any theoretical foundation of the research is built up. That depends. And third pillar is known as axiology. Axiology means axioms. That is, after deriving knowledge, that is to be standardized. Whether knowledge is good or bad, that is to be standardized from ethical point of view. That is ethics in research. Or knowledge can also be standardized from aesthetic point of view. Aesthetic means beauty. Whether the thing is beautiful or ugly, in that way you can standardize. So aesthetically and ethically you can standardize your knowledge, and that is known as axiology. So these are the three pillars. And I should not consider what is knowledge. Justified true belief is known as knowledge. I would like to conclude my lecture just mentioning two things. One is the methodology of deriving knowledge. Methodology of deriving knowledge. I mentioned the wage of knowledge, how knowledge can be derived, what are the wage. Now, what is the methodology of deriving knowledge? That I would like to mention. And what is the total picture, holistic picture of the research, philosophy of research, that I would like to present. In that way, I would like to conclude. Now, so far methodology is concerned, that can be divided into three types. That is, you have to derive knowledge logically. Illogical, unsystematic knowledge is not the knowledge. So logically, you have to derive knowledge. And there are 3 types of logic used in philosophy. If you ask the question, what are the types of logic? All students or scholars of philosophy will promptly give you answer that there are 2 forms of logic, deductive and inductive. But no, there are 3 types of logic, deductive, inductive, and abductive. What are these 3? Just due to paucity of time, I would like to present using the example. I am taking the help of a great philosopher, Peirce. Peirce himself narrated an example to make it clear the types of logic. Suppose there is a room. There is a room. Within the room, there are some bags, gunny bags, full of beans, B-E-A-N-S, beans. Some beans are whitish, some beans are yellowish, some beans are green. There is a bag full of white beans. There is a bag full of white beans. And also in the room, there is a table. On the table, some beans are laying, and those beans are found to be white. So this is the narration. There is a room. Within the room, there are suppose 10, 15 bags. All bags are full of beans. There is a bag which is full of white beans, and some beans are lying on the table. All those beans are found to be white. Now I am distinguishing these 3 logics. Now, rule, R-U-L-E, rule. Rule means there is a bag full of white beans. There is a bag full of white beans. This is rule. Case, some beans are drawn from that bag, and result, beans are found to be white. Drawn beans are found to be white. So rule, there is a bag full of white beans. Case, some beans are drawn from the bag. Result, the drawn beans are found to be white. In case of deductive logic, rule comes first, then case, then result. Okay? That is, there is a bag full of white beans. You are drawing beans from that bag. Certainly the drawn beans will be white. There is no uncertainty. So that sort of logic is known as deductive logic, and that is followed by the scholars of physical science, life science. Inductive logic. There is the case, that is, some beans are drawn. Result, drawn beans are found to be white. Then rule, there is a bag full of white beans. This sort of logic that is particular to general, that is known as inductive logic. But when rule first, result second, case third, that is known as abductive logic. That is, there is a bag full of white beans. Result, some beans are drawn, beans are found to be white. And case, you are concluding that certainly these beans are drawn from that bag. That is known as abductive logic. So with the help of this example, I think these 3 abstract concepts are very clear. And we, the scholars or the teachers of social science, behavioral science, or humanities, we use all these logics in our research study. More specifically, Using abductive logic, we form the hypothesis, and consequences are derived from deductive logic, and those are checked, those are examined using inductive logic. So abductive logic for hypothesis formation, deductive logic for drawing the consequences, and inductive logic for testing and drawing the final conclusion. So all these three logics are used. And I should consider the philosophical steps of doing research. First, there remains the philosophical approaches. Then that looks like an onion. And if you peel the layers one by one, you will get the ultimate pivot point, the central point of your research. But before that, you have to peeling the layers of the onion, that is layers of your research. That is, you have to systematically go away to get the result, to establish your research result. And that onion is consisted of number of layers. But Madhuchanda is looking to me, time, it's already we are running short of time. So I should stop here instead of describing the research onion and research types, and actually how research is to be conducted. That is, what is the research problem, how problem is to be framed, and how the literature survey is to be conducted in a general way. So these are the areas I thought to cover in this workshop, but as I started late, I could not cover all these. I am sorry for that. I beg your pardon for presenting an incomplete lecture before you. However, thank you all. Over to Madhuchanda.
Thank you, sir. Sir, it was an extremely, what can I say, sir? We watched and heard every word that you uttered with bated breath, sir. And I have been scrolling the words like I used to scroll in my research scholar days. So you have given an extremely detailed analysis of the methods, the tests, and everything. It has indeed been a researcher's delight. I feel each of the session, the researchers and the scholars, as well as the academicians, will find it highly useful. So, as we are running short of time, I request Professor Priya Biswas, Department of Economics, P.N. Dash College, to kindly go through the chat box and raise the questions on behalf of the participants.
Okay. Thank you, madam. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Arup Kumar Chattopadhyay, sir, for his excellent lecture on the topic Philosophy of Research and Basics of Research Methodology. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts and information with all of us. We have been enriched by your words, and definitely this will guide us in our research interest field. Now, the first question is asked by Shondip Dey. He didn't get the concept of continuous data. So will you please explain it once again?
Continuous means the data which can take any value. Any value means you have collected data on income. Income may be 10,000, 10,001, 10,000, 1.1, 10,000, 1.01. That is, any value can be taken by the data within any interval. Interval means 1, 2, or 2, 3, or 3, 4. These are that is the gap between two integer values. If any value is assumed by the data within the gap, then that data is known as continuous data.
Okay. The next question is from Anwar Laskar. He wants to know what is the difference between a case study and action research in educational research.
Actually, research in action is different from the case study. Case study means you can take one or two research units and you are vividly exploring the research units, the problems, the prospects, the cause-effect relationship, the success stories or failures, everything are to be considered. But when you want to conduct any research in action, that is through action you can modify your research problem. Again, you are putting that in your research query, and from knowledge you can again devise your research problem. In that way, if you go, that is action research. Suppose I can give you one example. I want to know the risk attitude of the persons. So risk attitude means I am giving rupees 50 to all the participants, and they are asked to take part in a game, and the ticket of that game is rupees 50. And chance of winning is suppose 30% and chance of losing 70%. And if he or she wins, then that rupees 50 will be multiplied by 4 times 200. And if he or she loses, that is rupees 50 will be taken away from him, taken back from him or her. And in that way, in action, I am doing the research to know which people are taking part in the game and who are the risk lover, who are the risk averter. Suppose nobody likes to take part in the game, then I can change my research problem. And changing that research problem, I can apply different types of activity and to take part in the so that the participants can take part in my my experiment. So in that way, through actions, if you there is the spiral in action research. That is, you have to continuously revise your research problem until you get the fruitful result. You get a fruitful solution of your research problem. You have to continuously go and you have to change your research problem. This is known as action research. You can go through the book of Thornhill to get a clear picture, spiral type of diagram. You will get in the book of research methodology written by Thornhill, Thronhill, Thornhill, publisher Pearson.
Okay. Okay, sir. The last question is from Tonusri Banerjee. She wants to know the example of abductive logic.
As I mentioned, abductive logic helps you to form the hypothesis. That is, after formation of the research problem, you have to build up the hypothesis. Unless and until you form the idea, you cannot proceed. And through your research, your hypothesis through testing, hypothesis may be proved as false or correct. And to form the hypothesis, you have to consider this abductive form of logic. I have given the example. The great philosopher. That is, what is your idea? Suppose there is a bag full of white beans, and some beans are lying on the table. So you have the idea that certainly these beans are drawn from that bag which contains white beans. So you are developing your idea that these beans certainly drawn from that bag. So this is abductive logic. Hypothesis is formed, idea is formed. Your idea may be wrong. There may be other bag also. In that bag, some beans may be white, some beans may be greenish, but you are drawing only the white beans from that bag. But you have the idea that these drawn beans are from that bag which is full of white beans. So before doing research, using your discipline, using your subject knowledge, you have to develop the hypothesis. And those hypotheses are to be tested. And to develop those hypotheses, you have to consider the abductive logic. So abductive logic is a very critical part of a research where actually the hypotheses are formed. And for that, you have to consult with the peer group or with the supervisor or with the experts or with the subject itself. From there, you have to derive the knowledge, and through derivation of knowledge, you have to build up the idea, and on the basis of that idea, you have to frame the hypothesis. And this framing of hypothesis is a part of abductive logic.
Okay. Thank you, sir. No more questions are there. Now I like to hand over the platform to Dr. Madhuchanda Lahiri, madam.
Number of questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I like to hand over the platform to Dr. Madhuchanda Lahiri, madam, head of the Department of Economics and IQAC coordinator. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya, for raising these queries of the participants and having them cleared up. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Bonnie Shamanto to kindly unmute herself and deliver the vote of thanks. Professor Bonnie Shamanto, head of the Department of Economics, PNDAS College.
Okay, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the honorable resource person, sirs, respected principal madam, our learned participants, my friends, colleagues, and my dear students. I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all those who have helped us in organizing and successfully conducting this webinar. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to our distinguished speakers, Professor Bijan Sarkar, Professor Arup Kumar Chattopadhyay, and Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya for enriching and enthralling us with their lively, interactive and informative lectures in such simple and lucid terms. I would also wish to express our profound gratitude to our Principal Madam, Dr. Shormila De, for guiding, supporting and motivating us in all our endeavors. We are very thankful to her for providing us with this opportunity to organize this event. We are all inspired by your words and constant efforts. Thank you, Madam. I also extend my vote of thanks to all the members of IQAC for their moral support and valuable suggestion in different aspects of organizing a webinar. Special thanks are due of Professor Suman Ranjan Bandhopadhyay, member of IQAC, for agreeing to our request to compare the webinar and performing the honors with such perfection. Technical assistance at the back end has been provided by our dear non-teaching colleague, Sri Bishwajit De. Thanks to him too. I would like to thank all the participants for their sincere cooperation and active participation for entire duration of program. I am very fortunate enough to be supported by a very motivated and dedicated colleagues of the Department of Economics and Department of Education. So I extend my hearty gratitude to Dr. Madhuchanda Lahiri Madam, Coordinator, IQSC, Pendas College and HOD of Department of Economics, Professor Priya Vishwas and Professor Debushree Bhattacharya for their hard work, sincerity and dedication in planning and executing each and every activity, which indeed has helped us in bringing the national webinar on research methodology in social science to its successfully conclusion. Thank you. Thank you all. Over to you, madam.
Thank you once again to Dr. Bijan Sarkar and Professor Arup Chattopadhyay. Dr. Amulya Kumar Acharya couldn't be with us for some appointment of his, and all the participants. So on behalf of the Department of Economics and Department of Education and also the IQSC Pendas College, we hope that it has indeed been an enriching session for you all. We hope to meet you all again sometime. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Madam, should I stop the recording?
Yes, Madhuchanda. Thank you.
Okay.